How's everybody doing today? Thanks for joining us. So today we have to answer the question, did the tow truck driver mess up my bus? I get asked that a lot. Story is, bus came in, it was towed in, and we fixed the problem. Well, why it was towed in. Had a bad transmission TCM, had it programmed, put on, that fixed the problem. But now he's got some air issues. And the first question out of his mouth was, well, I didn't have these problems till the tow truck driver towed it. Did he mess up my bus? Well, let's find out. Let's do some diag and let's see if we can figure out what the cause was. Was it the tow truck driver? Was it the previous tow truck driver, or was it the owner? We'll find out. So what we're working with is these ports right here. If you look at these ports, they say, you can see, let me zoom in. They say primary fill, secondary fill, tow brake, and tow supply. So when the tow truck driver wants to tow this bus, they hook into this port right here. And when they hook into this port, it supplies air that automatically releases the brakes, and it automatically airs the suspension up if it's a J coach. If it's an E coach, you still have to level the coach via the ECAS system, but it will air up primary and secondary fill. So Jessica, go ahead and crank up the bus. So if you notice, this port right here is leaking. So we have primary and secondary fill. They have two check valves. As you can see, this is leaking constantly. Alright, you can cut it off. So you have primary and secondary fill. And you have tow brake and tow supply. And the tow supply is leaking. Primary and secondary fill have two check valves. Those check valves are relatively easy. And we'll call up here. I did already have to replace one because the secondary one was leaking. And I don't know if you can see my finger. This check valve right here. So this allows air to come in, but not back out. And there's another one right here, but this one's okay. And so if this one was leaking, it would come out of the secondary hole. Right here. If the other one was leaking, it would come out, the green one, it would come out of the primary hole. Well, we're leaking out of the tow supply. So we're leaking out of this hole right here. And I don't know if you notice this, we'll come back to this, but you see this? This is a vent. And we'll come back to that in a few minutes. That's gonna be important. So remember that vent. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at a pneumatic diagram. So here are our ports right here. Let me see if I can get my mouse right there. So here are our ports. So you see this? So if you zoom in and look, you've got two lines on that tow supply. You've got this 1/2 inch line and you have this 3/8 line. Both of them are colored brown. Okay? So I already checked this 3/8 line, which runs up to the parking brake valve. That all functions properly. So we're going to focus on this 1/2 inch line. If you can see, it runs all the way down here. It comes down here, and then it loops around and comes up, and it comes up to G. So if you back up, and then we go to the other schematic, and we'll come up to the top, and if you look right here, we have G, and we'll follow the G, come all the way down. You see 1/2 inch brown, come all the way down, come all the way down. And see, this is at the rear of the coach. So G, it comes from the front, comes down, comes from the front, comes down to this G in the back, So it travels above all the bays, comes all the way down, comes all the way back, and comes down to A. If we come up to our legend, A, let's see, this camera doesn't like to go where I want it to go. It's looking at something else. So if you look at A, that is our tank supply. So what we've got going on here is, we'll go back to A. So we go to A, that line, let's see, comes all the way down, comes all the way here, and it comes to this port right here. Well, it doesn't show you on this diagram, but what's right there is a check valve. And it looks like this, if I can get it in the camera. Whoop, 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 right there. It looks like this. And if you see, there is a, let's see if I can zoom in on it. See that arrow? Air can come in through the top, but it can't come back out. All right, so you can see up in there, that gold brass piece. So I got the new check valve in. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, I can promise you that. Now we're back to these ports. Jessica, go ahead and crank it up. All right, so now nothing's leaking. And the problem is, if you were to, people will say, all right, you could just put a plug in this hole. Well, you can't do that. Because if you put a plug in the hole, it can't vent the other side of the line. Remember, there's two lines on that port. If you put a plug in there, it can't vent. So the brakes will always stay released. So you can't plug that line. The proper thing to do, so this will answer the question. So what caused it to fail when the only thing that happened is the tow truck driver towed the bus here? And the answer is, whoever the last person was to tow it, or the people working on the bus, or other mechanics, they took these vents off. And down here in the south, we have what is called dirt daubers, or mud wasps. People call them different things. And what they like to do is they like to make, they'll go in these little holes and they'll build little nests, or they'll go in there, or other insects will go in there. And then the tow truck driver screws his fitting on to this port and plugs air in, and guess where all that debris goes? Straight into that check valve. And it sticks that check valve open, causing air to constantly flow through there. All it takes is a little bit of debris to hang that little ball that's in that check valve. So I guarantee you that old check valve, if we were to pulled it off, took it apart, there was probably debris in there. We could have unscrewed it, cleaned it, and put it back on. But as hard as of a valve that was to get in there, we just replaced that valve, and they don't cost that much. But that answers the question. So the root problem is whoever took these vents off didn't do the person justice. These vents need to stay on there. You don't need to leave these fittings in there. You need to leave the vents on there. There's a reason why they're there, and that's the reason, is to keep dirt and debris out of those ports right there. I hope you guys understood it. Any questions, put them in the comments. For any more tips, stuff like that, like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys joining us today.